It is tough, and it is a valley, and we have to get through it. But the Lord's been good to us. But I want to sing at least one song to try to help somebody who may be going through that.
Amen.
And a lot of times we can have those glory services where the Lord shows up and He just reminds us how good He's been. But sometimes He's been good to us and we just can't see it.
You're right.
The truth is that God's just never failed.
Come on.
Amen.
And He never will.
Amen.
Sometimes, our preacher back at church, he preached a message about 2 or 3 weeks ago about the definition of a valley. And that the valley is just simply a place between two mountains.
Amen.
And you know, we lose focus a lot of times because we're in the valley and we see how dark and how cold it is that we forget that just ahead there is another mountain.
Come on, that's right.
And just ahead the valley comes to an end. And I want to try to help you this morning. If you're going through that valley, He hadn't forgot about you. The truth is, He's just standing there with you.
Amen. Yes, sir.
And He's making the journey through the valley with you. And He's ready to climb the mountain with you.
Amen.
And we just have to endure it and wait for God to do His part. And I can tell you this morning that He will. He'll do His part.
Amen.
In the mess of this old world,
listen.
Sometimes I need a word from heaven that everything's okay. I try to walk by faith, but sometimes I'm so afraid, and I cannot see how God will make a way. But then I think that He's never failed.
Amen.
Amen.
Not one time have I cried out, and my voice He has not heard. He's never failed me.
Amen.
And He won't start today. He will make a way. He will. He's never failed me. As broken as you feel, and your troubles, they are real, I know you think that God's forsaken you. Well, child, don't lose your faith. He is working while you wait. So just hold on, and He will bring you through.
Amen.
He's never failed me. He's never left me. Not one time have I cried out, and my voice He has not heard. He's never failed me, and He won't start today. He will make a way. He's never failed me. So I choose to trust Him now. He will make a way somehow. So just believe and you will say, He's never failed me. He's never left me. Not one time have I cried out, and my voice He has not heard. He's never failed me. He won't start today. He will make a way. He's never failed me. I remember last year on Sunday morning, the Lord showed up, and I sit back there in my seat, and I want to be careful, because what I don't want to do is I don't want to try to generate anything. You understand that? If God's working on hearts, I want God to do it. Not because somebody gets up and necessarily pushes something. So if you think I have an agenda this morning, I don't. And if you're thinking that, you're wrong, and I don't mean that hateful. But God did a lot last year on Sunday morning. And as I was sitting in my seat back there, I'm about to preach on the storm. That's what I'm about to preach on. And I'm going to preach here in a couple of minutes. But some of you right now may be going through something that right now you feel overwhelmed by. And I want to encourage you today, there's a reason why we come to this altar. And this is the part that if it's in your head that I'm trying to push something, I'm not. I tell you, there's only one thing I'm trying to push this morning, is that you get some help from Jesus.
Amen.
I hope you understand that. That's all I'm trying to push. And as I'm sitting there on that seat, there's a lot of people wiping tears from their eyes. And do you know what that usually is? That's usually an outward show of something that's going on in their heart. And some of you are hurting right now. I believe that. I tell you, sometimes I sit in my pew and boy, I just weep about the goodness of God, Pastor. I mean that. So not every teary eye necessarily means a storm, but I do believe this much. There may be someone with a heavy heart. God may be trying to speak to you right now.
Amen.
But you know what? I encourage you, make a move to this altar. Come speak to God this morning. And I only say this, make a move to that altar if God's pulling on your heart.
Right.
But if He is, would you come? Because there's a God here that right now in the middle of your storm, He wants to speak to you and wants to help you. I know this much. A lot of times, let me tell you my story. I'll be in a church service and I'll feel a little awkward. I go through it. We all do. And I don't want to move and make a move in front of people. And you know what? I get in my car later on that day and regret I didn't make that move.
You're right.
And a lot of times I believe that that's a show of me getting up and Brother Seth walking back to my car with that burden that God wanted to help me with. Amen. And so today God may be saying, look, there is faith. If you look throughout the Bible, the woman with the issue of blood, you know what she had to do? There was a Jesus that could have healed her. But you know what she had to do? She had to step out on faith and get closer to Jesus.
Right.
So here today, here's your step of faith. God, I need help with that. Make your step of faith.
Amen.
That centurion, that his son was at home dying. You know what he did? He went and searched out Jesus in a moment of faith, in a step of faith. And this morning, God may be saying, you have that need. I want to help you. And I want to bless your faith because I want to show you what a big God that I am.
Amen.
So here's your move. He's going to sing a little bit more. I'm going to preach in just a moment. But here's your moment. If you need to find and seek Jesus this morning, He's not lost. He's right here.
Amen.
Here He is. Here He is. You're a guest in His house today. If I was at your house and I walked in the kitchen and you were in the living room and I wanted to fellowship with you, I wanted to spend time with you, I'd need to leave the kitchen and go into the living room there with you and fellowship with you, speak with you, talk to you. And God says, welcome to my house. Would you like to have a conversation? Would you like me to help you with that burden? All you got to do is make that move. Listen to me, you going through something spiritually, physically, financially, things that you're going through. Look here, God may not leave $1 million on this altar right now. He could do it. God may not leave you $1 million, but I tell you what He could do. You could walk out of this place with a peace, knowing that there's a God that's taking care of you financially, taking care of you physically, taking care of you spiritually. Right now, a lot of us in this place, we don't need God to just fix that problem. We need God to speak to us in our minds and help us get a peace about it. Because can I tell you what?
Right.
Your problem's not out of God's control.
Right.
It's not. Can I tell you what? God's not worried about that problem like you are. Why don't you come on up here this morning, do a little praying, and let the Lord speak to you and tell you this. Everything's fine.
Amen. Right.
Everything's all right. How about this? I've never failed you.
Yeah.
I've never failed you.
Amen.
The man that wrote this song, he just lost a child when he wrote it. That doesn't change. Death doesn't change.
Amen.
Do you understand that?
Amen.
Death was not going to change for the man that wrote this song. He said, I wrote this song because I felt like God had failed me. And God began to speak to him saying, I haven't failed you.
Right.
Amen.
Amen.
I have not failed you.
Right.
He's going to sing. What's your step of faith this morning? Go ahead, Cole.